Good evening and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, principal of Simply Improve Health, and I help people to train better and longer, have improved sleep, and enjoy a better quality of life using simple plant-based products and simple techniques. This evening, I'd like to share with you some thoughts about attitudes and how they affect us. I mean, you can see from reading the papers or listening to the news every day that attitudes play a huge role in how people act and react to things around the world for whatever reason. But on a more personal level, our attitudes can actually be a hindrance or help. And that's why I chose the motto from the wise surfer dude who says, if you can't change your latitude, change your attitude, dude. Simply put, if you can't change your situation, getting upset about it, getting angry about it, getting frustrated about it, doesn't do anything but raise your blood pressure and ruin your health. It doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't leave you any options either. So sometimes we have to let go of our attitudes or step back from them and at least examine them to see if they're worth keeping or getting rid of. I'll give you an example from my own life. I was working with a group on a particular project, and at the beginning it was it was a real love-in, and we were all working together, and things were going well. But then I noticed over time that that initial enthusiasm began to wane, and I began to be less concerned or less focused on this particular project. And then I realized what the problem was. The problem was, or the reason for my change in attitude, had to do with the fact that I lost my enthusiasm. I had no longer felt the gusto for it. And the reason why was because the people that I was working with, this particular team, were felt like less of a team. I felt less supported. I would reach out for assistance with one thing or another, and would get little or no response. And finally, I just became discouraged and said, "The hell with this! What am I doing this for?" So in that case, the attitude developed as a matter of circumstance, but sometimes we walk into situations with attitudes that can hamper us. For example, you create a business and you have these really inflated views as to what's going to happen. Oh, in 2 years I'm going to be making seven figures or some such thing. And the attitude is just wrong. We see it in personal relationships and political relationships all the time. People make assumptions about things and adopt certain attitudes and then paint themselves into corners that they find difficult to get out of simply because they have stuck, they planted their flag on a particular issue in a particular manner, and now they find themselves unable to adopt a different attitude or are unwilling to adopt a different attitude. But it is possible to change, not necessarily change a situation, but change your response to it by changing your attitude. I'll give you a simple example from years ago. I was working for a small charity in New York, and next door was a fire station. Now, you can imagine in New York, that as noisy as it is, that the fire engines were coming and going constantly. And every time they had a call and they had to go out and leave the station, it would disturb me because of all of the noise and carrying on from them leaving. To the point where it would really keep me from doing my work. And I used to get quite annoyed about it. Shit, these people again. But I realized that that attitude wasn't serving me. It was only making me, it was only winding me up. It was only making me upset. And it was interrupting my workflow. So I couldn't change the situation, but what I could change was my attitude towards the situation, which is what I did. And in fact, every time I heard an engine going out, I would say a prayer instead. Prayer for the firemen who were going out on a call for whatever reason, for the people they were going to help, for the situation to be resolved in the best manner possible. And that was years ago. And it's a habit that I continue to this day. Whenever I hear a siren of any kind, whether it's fire, ambulance, police, whatever it may be, I send good energy with it, in the hope that things will work out for the best for everyone involved. So this is what I mean about taking our attitudes and looking at them and putting a different spin on them so that they don't have such a pernicious effect on our thought patterns, our work patterns, and even our health. So I would challenge you to think about that. What attitudes are you carrying around that you really need to just get shut of? What are they? Is it attitudes towards certain people that you may work with, that you may live with? Is it certain situations, certain kinds of whatever? What are these attitudes? It's time to kind of take them out of the closet and dust them off and look at them and see whether they're actually worth keeping. Because sometimes they aren't. As we grow and change and learn and develop, we change our attitudes, or at least we should, because as we learn more, our vision expands and we can see things with a bit more depth and clarity. Now, if we're not growing and moving and changing, that means we're stagnating or even going backwards. And I don't know about you, but life isn't about regression, it's about progression. So I would rather go forward than go backwards. But that entails being honest and looking at how we look at things, how we think about things, how we react to things. In short, what are our attitudes to this, that, or the other thing that is going in our lives, the people in our lives, the events in our lives, the work that we do. Because whether you work for someone or work for yourself, if your attitude is shitty, you're not going to get anywhere. A miserable life does not make for happiness. A miserable attitude does not make for a good life. It, for one thing, it makes people stay away from you because they don't want to be around somebody who's got a bad attitude and is miserable. That's not to say that you're not going to have bad days. No, that's not to say that there will be days that you really just can't, you really can't be bothered with other people. No. That's a normal part of human existence. But what isn't normal is not learning, not adapting, not being flexible. Being inflexible is, again, I use the analogy of the oak and the willow. An oak tree is fantastic, gives great wood, very sturdy, but a heavy, heavy storm will knock it down, knock it flat, tear it right up by the roots. Whereas a willow tree or a coconut tree will bend with the wind. It flexes, so it allows it to survive even the strongest storms. It may lean, it may even get slightly uprooted, but it won't break necessarily because it has that flexibility to sway with the wind. Now, swaying with the wind doesn't mean adapting every position that comes along. No, we need to have principles. We need to define who we are in contrast to other things. That's normal as well, because if we don't define ourselves in some way, others will do it for us, and you might not like the definitions that other people hang on you. So it would be sensible, shall we say, to not only adopt and hold to a particular stance or attitude, but to make sure that those stances and attitudes are not going to get you into trouble, that are, frankly, are not going to screw you in some way. Now, how we can do that? Well, a wrong attitude at work certainly won't get you a promotion. If you're a business person and you have, you're having a bad day, and you kind of leak that out onto somebody at a business meeting, you won't get that business. And what's more, they will probably tell other people, so that it has a ripple effect, and you have even more people trying to avoid you because you have a nasty attitude. So attitudes, unless you are a complete hermit and live with no one at all, attitudes can smooth your life, can ease your life, can give you greater understanding if you allow yourself to broaden your stance and to take in look at things from a higher attitude. So, I mean, those are my thoughts about attitudes. And like I said, as I started my little discourse, I started with the surfer dude, and I will end with the surfer dude because it's so true. If you can't change your attitude, change your latitude. No, sorry, got that backwards. If you can't change your latitude, change your attitude, because wherever you go, there you are, and you carry your attitudes with you. So if they're not serving you, what are you hanging on to them for? What purpose do they serve except to shoot you in the foot? If you like doing that, great. But if you really, really, really want to be able to get along with other people, get along with yourself even, then it may be worthwhile to check out your attitudes and see where they're leading you or not leading you. Hopefully they're leading you to a good place. Thanks so much for listening. If you're watching on replay, just type in replay, leave comments, leave your thumbs up or love hearts or other emojis, and let me know that you find this of interest and value. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great, great evening and a fabulous week, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.